week's episode of Life in Private Staffing with me, Philippa Smith, as you know, the MD of Silver Swan Recruitment. Hope you're all well. As you know, each week we are joined by various different guests who all work within the private sector in one way or another, and we hope to provide new insights and new perspectives into the industry. And the more people we speak to and the different things people do sort of just gives that different angles, really. So this week we're doing something a little bit different. It's not just me and one other person. We've got a sort of a team of people here to talk to you today. And this week we are talking all things Middle East. So those that know, at Silver Swan, we have lots of opportunities over in the Middle East. A lot of the work we do is over in Saudi. You probably see us advertising roles all day, every week. We do lots of project work over in Saudi. We also have a branch over in Dubai, so we do also cover lots of the UAE as well. But we do find that even having recruited for the Middle East for years, like 3-4 years, there's still like so many sort of like negative like thoughts associated with life over there, especially for women, especially for Westerners. And, you know, for those that don't know much about it, they think we're actually bonkers when we start offering positions over in the Middle East, especially Saudi. So, but in reality, like the countries have come on so far over the last sort of like 10 years. And you know, it's a beautiful place to be, the countries over there, beautiful places, beautiful people, like amazing work opportunities. So we thought if we covered a podcast or released a podcast covering, you know, different things associated with life over there and try and cover some of the concerns and provide some insights into the employment opportunities, then it might shed a bit of light, really, and may persuade you even to go and do something a little bit different with your career. So as I said, today we've got a group of us. We've got Corina here, who has, well, she's a Middle East specialist. She knows absolutely everything there is to know about the Middle East. And then we have a couple of guys that work with me at Silver Swan. So between us, we hope to cover a fair bit of ground today. So let's start with everyone being able to introduce themselves briefly for you. So let's start with Corina, and then we'll go on to Michael and Eve, and they can tell you a little bit about what they do.
Perfect. So I'm Corina. My company is called StarCat, and we represent luxury hotels and brands. And we also do training for anyone who wants sort of crash courses and speed charge their knowledge for like the new job or project in the Middle East.
Fabulous.
Hi, I'm Michael. As Philippa said, I'm a consultant at Silver Swan Recruitment, and I resource staff and for clients in the Middle East, primarily Saudi Arabia.
Hi, I'm Eve. Yeah, I work with Michael in the Middle East department as a consultant, doing exactly what he does, just working with our colleague Amy as well.
Fabulous. So nice little team here. So it's nice not to just be me. Nice to have a little gaggle of us. So the plan for today and what we sort of want to cover, we want to talk a little bit about the culture over there in general life and what you can expect living as an expat over there. We'll definitely talk about the employment opportunities and what our process is and what you can expect if you're to come through Silver Swan and go and live over there. And then we thought we'd also, if we've got time, touch on some of the future projects that is currently going on over there. So some really, really exciting stuff going on, which may tempt you, who knows. So let's start with Corina then. So Corina, like, where did it all start for you? So where did this passion of the Middle East come from?
I mean, to be honest, for me, I kind of fell into this by accident. I worked in hospitality, and then I'm not British, I'm German. You know, where I come from, nobody had even seen an Arab in their life. So when I came to London, I fell into this on the hospitality side, and then I just had a really good connection with all of these people. And I worked with somebody at the time that had been around for a long time, and they knew everything about different families. And I would forever like bug him and ask him, who is this? Have they fallen out? Have they made up? How high is this person in the royal family? And then of course I would meet all these people. And then I just generally, you know, fell in love with the culture, the family values, and also like the long-standing relationships that you could build. And for me, another big reason also for me to now create these trainings is it's exactly like you said, there's so many stereotypes and they're just not really true. I mean, yes, maybe certain things may be true to certain people, but the majority of people are not like that, and they don't conform to any of these stereotypes. And I think there's just so much misinformation, that you know, if we can just help to guide people a little bit more and find out what is the real situation, that it will open up so many opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. And you visit a lot, don't you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been in the Middle East a lot, in different countries, you know, Saudi, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, UAE, you know, I've been there a lot, and I've also seen all the change, and there's just so many exciting projects now happening over there. I mean, I'm sure you see that from a recruitment perspective.
Well, yeah, because it's never ending. Like the requirements over there and their need and their desire, more recent desire of wanting sort of Europeans especially, but such a sought after level of service, I think, for them over there compared to their local staff that they have. Do you have a favourite country?
Not really, no. I just find it very exciting, and I guess I prefer the ones that are not as the obvious choices. So like, I think everybody goes to Dubai, you know, but Dubai to me is almost not really the proper Middle East. I'd much prefer to go to like Qatar or Saudi or something and see something a bit more, you know, traditional, or Oman for that sense. I guess that's probably the most traditional out of all of them.
Yeah, for sure. Eve, you've been to Saudi. What was your impression?
I loved it. I really did. Yeah, I had no idea what to expect, because obviously, you know, as has all the candidates, you do your research, you hear the stories, but after working for Saudi clients for so long, I just had a positive mind. And yeah, when we arrived, I just loved it. I was pleasantly surprised. Everyone was so welcoming. Hotels were great. Food was great. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was difficult for us to, we went together, didn't we? It was difficult for us to know what to expect. And you get literally within 5 minutes, even the people that worked at the passport control in Riyadh Airport, even they were funny. Like, they were probably making us laugh, weren't they? Yeah. So they make you feel at ease straight away. They must hate that people think what they think over there. Like, mad, isn't it? And what about you, Michael? Was it as you expected?
No. So like, we obviously did as much research as possible before going to prepare ourselves, but it was, I mean, I didn't know really what to expect. But as you say, like even in the airport, they're sort of quite disarming and making you laugh, and like implying that there was a problem there wasn't, and like they were all joking around with each other. Everyone was really polite. The level of English was amazing, even with like taxi drivers. They could like get by on English, which was a surprise. I think what was nicest is that they were almost grateful for visitors. I think they were surprised at people there. I mean, we weren't tourists, but generally people arriving to do their own research, I think was like, we were thanked for being there and seeing it for ourselves rather than just reading the news or believing what we're told.
Yeah.
Super nice and really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. How have you found, so obviously a lot of your dealings, Corina, have been in the UK, but with really senior, high profile people that live out in the Middle East. Have you ever experienced like any differences in the way you're treated because you're a woman from a professional point of view?
No, not at all. I think to the contrary. I mean, I've been to dinners where I was the only woman amongst 50 men, and it was totally fine. And people were just more worried to make sure I was okay, and did I have everything, and was I safe, and you know, did I need another driver or something? No, I mean, nothing at all. I've never ever felt unsafe there. But then I guess also, you know certain rules, and it's exactly like Michael said, you do a bit of research, and you also know, you know, that you stick to these kind of rules that go, you know, in line with the religion and everything. I mean, you wouldn't walk around in a pair of shorts or a very short skirt in Saudi, for example, because you know that this obviously wouldn't be the done thing. So I think, you know, as long as you keep an open mind and as long as you know what you can and can't do, I think you're totally fine. But I think people are very, and that again, I think for me shows, you know, this love with the Middle Eastern culture, because people are so genuine in how they want to make sure you have a good impression of their country, that you meet everybody, and that you're safe, most of all.
Yeah, I definitely felt that as well. I was wondering, because when we went out, it was Michael and me and Eve. And there were so many things I was curious about as to how we'd be welcomed, how we'd be treated. I was wondering, even in meetings, would they be talking to Michael or would they be talking to me or Eve? And yeah, it's like so, like as if we were in London. Like, no, they were more friendly than some of our British clients are, like super welcoming and super, sort of lovely. Touching on the sort of clothing then. So, Eve, what was your impression you got there in terms of clothing laws? Was it more relaxed than you thought?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we obviously went prepared with the abaya and the hijab. But yeah, much more relaxed, because as the week went on, we kind of tested the waters a little bit, didn't we, without the hijab. And then by the end of the week, as long as you wear loose fitted clothing and most of your skin is covered, there was no issues whatsoever, was there? Yeah.
Some, like, the fashion out there is insane. Some of the women look incredible, don't they?
Yeah.
I wish I'd got some new clothes for my trip. How have you found that when you visited? Have you found it as a similar experience, Corina?
Honestly, I really love, we used to go on these trips, like, let's say Saudi, Dubai, Qatar, and then it was almost a bit disappointment when you came out of Saudi, because you were wearing this abaya. You didn't really have to worry too much about what to wear underneath. It was very comfortable, and then you suddenly had to go back to like, okay, let's try and find a different outfit per day. But of course, I have to say, you did have to worry if you were going to somebody's house, because then typically you would take the abaya off. So you still had to worry to a certain degree. But I found it so comfortable. It was so nice, because you just knew you threw it on over everything. You didn't have to worry about anything. So I never, I also never felt that this was, like a pain or it was annoying or anything. I just felt it was really comfortable, and a lot of people that I talked to felt exactly the same. So
yeah, when we arrived into Riyadh airport, I was so surprised, because most of the women were in jeans and long sleeve tops, like literally like what I'm wearing now, like a long sleeve top and jeans. And I was like, oh, there we go then. Michael, what's your feedback been from candidates? So you obviously place sometimes some quite young females who are naturally quite sort of worried when they go. What kind of feedback have you had?
You know what? It's kind of changed over the last 2-3 years, because I think there was, since the online visa in late 2019, they've shifted the rules slightly of what is like acceptable and whatnot. So I think initially it was within, as a place candidate, expats typically live in compounds and they're walled in and it's all secure, so you can wear what you want. They sort of provide a home for you as if it's like a Western compound. But then, they used to be advised to wear an abaya or something respectful when they went into town, like Riyadh is plagued by shopping malls and all this kind of stuff. But now it's really relaxed. As you say, when we went early last year, people can wear what they want. And I think, touch wood, I've never had any of the, having placed a few hundred people out there over the last few years, primarily females, none have had an issue with, safety, clothing questions or anything. They've just, as Corina was saying, you err on the side of caution and respectfulness, and then you can pivot according to like how that feels. Like, you both wore an abaya and hijab upon arrival. When you guys left, you were in jeans and long sleeve t-shirt, and it was all very relaxed. So yeah, only positive feedback from the candidates we've placed in terms of what they wear and how comfortable they feel going out and about in their clothes.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had anyone call in a blind panic because they're stuck in town in a dress and they don't know what to do. Like, the
only call I've had that was a panic call was from a male candidate, a male member of staff we placed, and he'd lost his passport.
Yeah.
It was totally his own fault, and it was nothing to do with living there. It could have been anywhere, but that was the only call I've received. Again, touch wood so far.
And we've had lost passports in London.
Yeah.
Two candidates called us on the way to the embassy, having.
And then he found it again and had to get left. Yeah, that's a different.
Yeah, story. That's another stress. We don't have to talk about that. But no, I think that one of the first sort of stereotypes is that it's like, oh my God, women and covering up, and that's the first thing we sort of want to squash, and it's so not like that. Corina, you probably have a bit more experience in this because we go and we sort of meet people that we know. What's the what's the word? Like, what's the common practice when you greet somebody over in the Middle East, like an Arab man? Is it similar to the UK? Do you shake the hand as a woman? Do you shake the hand? Do you give them a kiss?
I mean, I think you have to be a little bit, again, guided by sort of the signals you get, I would say, you know, because there is some people that are very traditional and they will not necessarily shake a woman's hand. And people should not take this the wrong way. This is just, you know, due to religion. So I would say you kind of just have to get a feel for the situation. I mean, it's, you know, it's a similar thing when you're a man, you wouldn't like embrace the woman of the house or something like that. You just, I think, have to look at it and then assess the situation. And then, yes, you can either shake, or if you know the person really well, I mean, some people, you know, like they kiss you because they know you really well. But I think even in the same family, you cannot be sure, because some people may be just more religious and follow more, you know, their traditions, and they will not feel comfortable with shaking hands. And likewise with women, I think some women will be very comfortable shaking hands with a Western man and others won't. So
yeah.
Is that your experience as well, or?
Yeah, take their lead, basically, isn't it? And again, it's really similar to here in the UK when people sort of say to me, what do I do when I get there? And it's similar when I go into a meeting in the UK as a woman, like, are they going to want to shake my hand or give me a kiss on the cheek or whatever? Whenever our meetings that we had over there, all the men straight away shook my hand, like straight away. We'd never met them before, but obviously we'd worked with them for years. So there was never, and if anything, they went in quick with it to manage the situation. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think there was ever a situation for us, was there, Eve, where we didn't know? It was never awkward for us, was it?
Yeah, I couldn't really remember, so that naturally means that it was fine.
It was never an issue. Yeah, exactly. And often, from our point of view anyway, when we're sending people out, we're set like, it's a different situation because they know where they're going, who they're being met by. They're normally with a group. So people that, are going out for work don't really have to sort of worry about this quite so much, because it's quite a sort of controlled environment anyway. Which would you say there are more expat friendly places to go and live than others, Corina?
I mean, obviously, you know, I guess Dubai is the obvious one, which is where the majority of the expats live. But I think, you know, with all the developments, I think places like Saudi could be very interesting in the coming years, or Qatar, you know, I mean, but I think with Saudi in particular, they've opened up so much. And before, I mean, you used to go there. I mean, I remember one of my first years going back there, we went into the Starbucks and you had the female section and the family section, and the male section and the family section. And you were like, oh, okay, what should I be doing here? You know, but I feel like this is sort of going away now. It's exactly like you said. I mean, I remember one of my first times when I came to the airport, and I was like, oh my God, I mean, this goes back probably 10, 15 years ago. And I was like, am I ever going to make it through this immigration? And then the next time I came, and they had this, they already had like the smileys where you could do, you know, have they done really well? You put a smiley, or have they not done? I mean, it was complete change. So I think Saudi has a lot of potential, and there's so many exciting things that they are doing. I think there's a big push this year, I think, on Riyadh season that's coming up, sort of autumn, winter. I was just talking to somebody yesterday, and they were like, yes, we're pushing along, and we're having all these pop-up restaurants and these different, and they have, I think, Formula One this year for the very first time. And so there's so many exciting things that they never were exposed to before. They had raves where they flew in like David Guetta in the desert. I mean, this would have never been possible years ago, you know?
Yeah.
So I think people have to just keep an open mind. And to me, I would almost think, you know, if you go and work in the Middle East, then try and aim for a country that is not as obvious as Dubai, because in Dubai, it feels like you have more expats than, I mean, it's quite rare to see Emirati people. It's quite difficult to get in contact with them because there's so many expats.
Yeah, like, I completely agree. If you're going to do it, just go on a holiday to Dubai. In fact, don't. It's really far away, but it's because it is so like here, just hot and clean and new. But yeah, I completely agree. I would happily live in a Middle Eastern country. If I had no ties here, I'd happily go over there and work. We'll go on to some of the reasons why you should go over there and work, because obviously it can be quite a lucrative place to work. But from a lifestyle point of view, like we went to some really cool cafes, really cool restaurants. The shopping malls are insane. Like life's normal. Like I suppose the only main difference is the drinking. Like that's a clear no. It's a dry country. But even in Dubai, you don't go to a bar and drink either. You can drink in a hotel and that's it. But then I'd see it as, you know, a healthy little break for myself. And I'm also probably sure that people brew their own stuff secretly. But anyway, that's by the by. It's not a common, you know, you don't go out and sort of have wine with your dinner or anything. I'd say that's the only main difference that I would have noticed in terms of like everyday life over there. But yeah, the shopping malls are insane. Even in the middle of Riyadh, there's so many of them, aren't there? And really normal shops as well, like lingerie shops I was super surprised with, and wasn't there?
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, cool. So moving on then to talk a little bit about some of the employment opportunities then. So Michael, do you want to sort of give us a bit of a background as to, in terms of what we do and some of the places or some of the things people could be doing out there?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, since mid late 2017, we've been placing international staff from all over the world into private residences throughout the Middle East. So our clients own residences in one or many countries, including they might have a plane or a yacht or whatever. So we find them staff by the 100 at times. To fill all kinds of roles, everything in hospitality you can think of. So imagine, I don't know, something the size of a very, very large privately owned hotel. So you've got front of house staff, back of house staff, chefs, spa therapists, absolutely everything that is covered. Contracts are like 1 year, and we cover everything from like finding the candidates, mentoring them through the recruitment process, right up until, well, even today when they've been after placement after a year, I still keep in touch with many of them. So that's like the general overview of what we do. I mean, do you want me to go into like package details as well and like what a role like that offers?
Yeah, go on then.
So it's tax-free, obviously, because it's in the Middle East. So everything's included. Salaries range from typically between $4,000 and $6,000 a month. And with that, you get like really nice accommodation. Everything's covered. All your living expenses are covered. Food and uniform, that's all covered. Any travel you want to do often is covered as well, into like town and back. Medical insurance. Eve, have I missed anything?
Visas.
Yeah, visa. Obviously, all your travel to and from and visas, that's all covered as well. And any expenses you incur before you travel. So if you need to go, like to get a medical in your home country, whatever it costs you to get out there is all covered as well. And I mean, as I said earlier, the staffing compounds were really comprehensive. So, as you might know, expats typically live in compounds. The staff we place often live in compounds that are bespoke for them. But often there'll be compounds you might live that many, many other people live in. And within them is everything that you might need, like shops, there's pools, gyms, spa. They cater for a Western or wherever you come from, in fact, Eastern lifestyle. And then obviously you have the option of going into the local town or city as well. So yeah, I mean, it's very, very well-rounded, very wholesome. I think the work-life balance is really good. I mean, the way I see it is that they want staff, international staff of that very, very top level from all around the world. So, very few countries are missed. South America, even we've placed people from North America in the past, right the way to, China and then all the way right around. They provide a nice enough lifestyle to ensure that they keep their staff, because obviously it's expensive for them to bring on staff from all around the world. So they want to make sure they keep them, so they provide as much of a luxury lifestyle as they can when the staff aren't working, obviously.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're working, it is full on, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
If the family's in residence, you honestly could be working a 20-hour day and it is expected, but then they may not be there for 3 weeks, and so you've got to take the, it's like swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. You definitely earn your keep. I mean, the packages that are offered are really generous. but you obviously work for it. I think the balance has improved. I think when we started, those staff, there was a lot more required of them, and the packages weren't necessarily as good. But you know, in the last 2-3 years, the staff welfare seems to have improved massively. Staff retention is way better than it used to be, which is evidence of, you know, better lifestyle for the staff. And yeah, they now actually have now work less. As you say, when the principal's in residence, it used to be all hands on deck regardless, you know, totally foregoing any of your own private needs like sleep. But now it's actually much more like regular rotation, and they anticipate better if there's going to be long hours worked or whatever. And as you know, a lot of our main clients and properties we recruit for, the teams have doubled in size. So, and that is specifically to ensure that staff have like enough of a balance in their life. And if, you know, if they're going to put on such a nice show in terms of the staff accommodation, at least let the staff use it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also as well, what's nice about it is when people think, oh my God, I don't get there on my own, you're so not on your own. Like a household over there could have anything from 50 to 500 staff in it. And so like, like you're one of hundreds in a property.
I play, Eve, as you know, our batch of staff arrived Monday night or yesterday morning. I think yesterday morning. And I've been on this, you know, talking to this candidate for a while. She was a bit nervous, so I tried to talk her through everything, blah, 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 blah. And she messaged me like, I've just moved in, and they're going through quarantine at the moment. She's like, I'm sharing a villa, which is where they're quarantining, and staff live in villas, with an old colleague of mine from Metahad or something. And it's like the amount of staff who arrive and go, I've just met 3 people I used to work with, or I've just, you know, everyone arrives and is pleasantly surprised by a previous colleague or friend or whatever, who they didn't even know was there. They just knew they'd gone off somewhere. So yeah, it's a really small kind of world. I find it's a really good community.
Yeah, and I think what's nice about it is it's kind of like you touched on before, it's kind of like a hotel environment, yet it's very much a private residence. And so for those candidates that are looking to leave the hotel industry and enter the private household industry, that can typically be quite difficult to do here in the UK because you haven't got any private household experience or whatever, you know, people are talking about. And you know, it's difficult to adjust from a big scale operation into someone's private home. And this is a really, really good way of doing it, especially because they will consider fairly young candidates. And you could have, you know, 5 years experience in a 5-star hotel in London and then go over to the Middle East and be given an opportunity that feels very much like a hotel, but it's very much a private residence for normally someone quite high profile. And you only really do it for a year or two, and that's enough to A, come back and buy a house, but also come back and be able to step straight into the private household industry, because on paper you've been doing it, even though it's a much bigger scale. So it really does open doors, I think, from the sort of hotel environment into the private household environment. So, and yeah, just what a unique opportunity. What about the heat, Corina? How do you manage the heat over there when you visit? Is it really as hot as they say?
I mean, I have to say it's tricky if you go out, but again, it goes back to you educate yourself. I mean, I went to a wedding in June once in Abu Dhabi, and oh my God, it was 45 degrees. And people would say to me, oh, you could go and lay by the pool. I'm like, no, I don't think in 45-degree heat I will lay by the pool. And also the water was, of course, very warm. But I think generally speaking, I mean, there's air conditioning everywhere, and the air condition is, you know, so much more superior, I think, than what we sometimes have in the UK here. I mean, you have great air conditioning in hotel, you have great air conditioning in cars, to the point that for me, it's sometimes even too cold. Like, you get into the car and you think, oh my God, I should be putting on another jacket, even though it's really hot. But yes, I mean, I would say from probably June, July, August, maybe a little bit of May, maybe a little bit of September. Those are sort of like the months to avoid to go out there. I mean, if I remember a friend of mine said to me, oh, I think I'm going to book a holiday to Dubai in July. I said, oh my God, no, you know, because this is not what you're thinking it's going to be like. So, yeah.
Yeah, pick your timing. Okay, cool. In terms of interview process then, Eve, so what can, if someone's listening to this and thinking, Yeah, right. I'd consider, you know, looking at opportunities. What would the next steps be, and how would the process work with us?
So first of all, they would have to get in touch, and we would arrange what we call a registration phone call, which is normally like a 15-minute, really informal conversation, talking through their experience and just getting to know each other a bit better. And we obviously discuss the role in a little bit more detail. And then once we've got all their documentation, we will send it off to the client. And if they get positive feedback, they'll be invited for a video interview, which sometimes it's 1 or 2, it just depends who's available at that time. And then, yeah, it's just a matter of kind of waiting for feedback after that. And then after then, it can all go quite quickly. You know, they receive feedback fairly quickly. And if it's positive, it's just, you know, full steam ahead with paperwork in terms of like medicals, background checks, and everything else that comes with a new job as well. So yeah, the whole process takes roughly it can take anything between 4 to 8 weeks, let's say.
I was going to say the process is fairly straightforward in terms of knowing what the next step is, but patience is definitely key, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Mainly because the level of referencing and background check is incredibly thorough for obvious reasons, because we often work with high profile people. So yeah, so you have your interview with us, you have your interview with the client. Sometimes it could be 2 or 3 interviews with the client. Then we do our referencing, but then they do a very, very thorough referencing. So I suppose the speed of which that takes is dependent on the quality of the information on your CV. So if you provide detail, then that can go quite quick. And then there's still background checks on top of that. You have to do your medical. How's COVID affected the recruitment, Michael? Over, like, are people still going?
Oh, 100%. I mean, in terms of just quickly about the interview process, we used to interview face-to-face in London or Dubai. We had an interview process even in Tbilisi, Georgia at one point. Now it's all, as Eve said, on Skype with 1 or 2 people according to the department. And COVID is, I mean, I was talking to a client of mine earlier last week, and she said they might never go back to face-to-face interviews because it's worked so well. And because of COVID, since, you know, we started last year's recruitment in February, March, and it was obviously, you know, I don't want to go into too much detail about how different it was, but we were able to send out all of last year's staff, you know, many, you know, in the hundreds from August onwards. So our clients generally would circumnavigate like travel restrictions by flying their staff to certain places and then putting them on private jets into whatever country, Saudi Arabia, whatever, via Dubai or whatever it might have been. So in short, COVID delayed but did not restrict staff placement whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully that will remain the chain and nothing, it'll only improve.
Yeah, because ultimately their requirements were still there. You know, it's not like their requirements went anywhere. And when you're dealing with clients of a certain level, like, their requirements need to be met, you know, one way or another, and it's up to the people around them to make it work. So there's always a way, isn't there? And as I say, yeah, there was just a delay. Rather than sending the volume that we sent over the entire year, it was just sort of it was condensed into a shorter time period, which just made your year quite carnage, didn't it? But to get everybody out still, it was still great to have got the same number of people out last year than we did the year before. So the opportunities, I don't want people to think that the opportunities have reduced because of what's been going on, not at all. Like, and we're about to start ramping up again. Our recruitment drive's about to go nuts, isn't it? So yeah, here we go again.
Yeah, exactly as you said. Rather than being consistent throughout the year, it just meant we did more different style of resourcing and mentoring earlier year, and then latter year was more travel and contracts and admin. So the same amount of done was throughout the year. We just separated it into, you know, according to what we were able to do. Yeah.
And you touched on earlier that the contracts that we often place on are a year, but we're finding people are staying much longer than that, aren't they, at the moment?
Yeah. I was talking to a member of staff this morning, who I placed late 2018, and she's now a departmental manager or a departmental assistant manager. Still out there, so that's 2.5 years, I think, ish. And yes, as I was saying earlier, staff retention has gone from strength to strength, and that is, I think, in part, or at least, or even primarily, because of how well they deal with staff and what staff, the opportunity staff have out there, and even in private and working life.
Yeah, good quality of life and good career opportunities, because they're being developed now and trained, and they're being promoted, and people are coming away at the end of their 2-3 year stint at a much higher level than what they went in at. And again, they're opportunities you don't get so much in private households here in the UK, because often you're in a much smaller team and you don't have that hierarchy of staff. So yeah, people are really able to further their careers out there, which is great. Okay, cool. Well, hopefully that's provided a bit more of an insight into what we have available and what people can expect should they want to talk to us a bit more and sort of head out there themselves. Let's wrap up then with the future of the Middle East. And Corina, I'll come back to you with this. So there's various huge projects that are going on, and they like, tell you what, they don't bloody do things by half, do they? It's not like building a Wembley Stadium here, it's as far as we get. They are going nuts. Do you want to run us through some of the sort of like major projects that you know about that are going on?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, I mean, if we look at Saudi, we have Neom, which is this futuristic city that they are building, where there's so much excitement about this, you know, all sort of the tech companies and all these really innovative brands that are going there. Then I think as a tourist destination, you look at Al Ula, which looks, I mean, phenomenal to me. I mean, this, you know, is, I would say, even in competition with something like Petra. So I think tourism is also something they're developing very much in Saudi, which again is, I mean, certainly for me, this is hugely exciting, because years ago you could, like, it wasn't even possible to get a tourist visa, you know, like you had to jump through hoops and loops to get these visas. So now that they are opening up a bit more, I mean, this is so cool. And then, of course, one other thing, not just for Saudi, but I think for the whole region, is sports that I think is really big. So we touched about the Formula One, you know, some of the boxing matches that they had. I mean, of course, next year in Qatar is massive with the FIFA World Cup. I think then in a couple of years you have these Asian games coming up. So I think the drive also for sports is quite big out in the Middle East, and you just have so much diversified things. And then of course we should not forget to mention the UAE's mission to Mars, which got everybody so excited. And the funny thing is as well, I don't know if you read this, but 80% of the people on the team for that mission were actually women, which I think was phenomenal. So I think there's just so many exciting new projects and so many things are being done that you know, I feel this is really the future, and we could really look to some of these projects as really, you know, groundbreaking.
I think it's really good, because I think with anything, even with most countries, even like not even countries that far away, like without a reason to go, why would people go? So unless you know someone there or there's something going on, why would people go? So I think it is quite important for the countries to be doing things like, especially the games and the sporting events. If the sporting events is giving people a reason to go, and then by luring people in with that, then people get to experience the amazing country and then might choose to visit for more of a holiday, you know, after that. And so I think having those, you know, fixtures that are going to be in place and, yeah, reasons for people to go and visit is just going to sort of change everything. And yeah, these online tourist visas, I think we applied for ours. The form took a couple of minutes. I think it was 200 quid. And I think we got our visa within the day. Same day?
It was within half an hour. It says 24 hours.
Yeah.
But they arrived within half an hour. I don't know if that's not particularly busy, but that's how long it took.
Yeah.
That is just brilliant. I mean, I remember having to go to the prince's office to get a letter, to, you know, them having to submit it to the Ministry of Interior, then going to the embassy, and you still weren't sure that you were going to have this visa, you know, so this is phenomenal, I think.
And even when you get that visa, you don't really know when you turn up at the airport if they're going to be like, what's that? Yeah, you're still not that sure. So yeah, so like that's just incredible now and great. I was even watching TV the other day, and there was a blooming an advert for Saudi, like a promotional like advert, like in a commercial break, promoting a holiday to Saudi. I was thinking, wow, there we go. Do you know what I mean? He would have had that a little while ago.
Definitely.
And then along with all of this, all of these cool things that are going on, like they're just going from a staffing point of view, an employment opportunity and a sort of an expat lifestyle, like that's just going to draw, it's just going to open up so many jobs, hopefully lots for locals. Obviously it's going to provide, well, tens of thousands of jobs, and I think they will be wanting a mixture of obviously supporting the local market, obviously, but definitely for Westerners and people wanting to go over, they're definitely going to be wanting to sort of push that. So yeah, and the NEOM's like well and truly underway, isn't it? Like it's massive. It's absolutely massive. And some of you can go onto YouTube and Google NEOM, and some of the videos, it's just like, is it really going to be like that? But I think it is.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is, and I think with the speed that we have seen in Saudi in particular, how they've turned around projects. I mean, I have no doubt that this is really going to happen the way it is. Although it looks a bit, it looks very futuristic, I think, to a lot of us.
Yeah, it looks really sort of quite far fetched. And what's the time frame? They're talking about 2030.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's sort of the broader vision, isn't it? 2030, by 2030, they want to have quite a lot of different things in place. So,
I'm definitely going.
Oh yeah, me too.
I reckon it's going to be run by robots. That's what I expect when I see the videos. I'm thinking, oh, robots going to give them a dinner. But we will see. And obviously the mission to Mars, that's just mad, isn't it? That's mad. I know less about that, to be fair, but I'm following it.
No, it's brilliant. It's really brilliant, and I think it also showed everybody that the Middle East is sort of coming into their own, and that they are leading certain initiatives themselves. Mm-hmm. Like it never happened before.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Cool. Well, I think we've covered loads today. Then I could carry on talking for ages, but I think hopefully that's given a bit more of an insight into what to expect when you're over there, some of the reasons why you should go. I think anyone that's ever considered working there and hasn't got around to it definitely needs to. And because I think it's the kind of thing, it's like a now or never kind of thing. If you don't sort of go and do these things before you have like serious family ties here and reasons why you can't leave, why not? An absolute worst case scenario, you get like any job, you don't like it, you come home. Like if that's the worst that can happen, that's one thing we should actually comment on. This is really, we've sent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of staff, and I could probably count on one hand the number of people that said it wasn't for them for various reasons, whether there was family problems back home or whether they didn't get on with who they're working with. It does happen. Anyone that put their hand up and said this isn't for me, they were flown home within 24 hours. First class, like there's never a situation where anyone's ever been stuck out there. Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to touch on as well before we finish up. Don't believe what you bloody read. Like people read in the Daily Mail that you're going to get stoned like in the marketplace in the centre of Riyadh, or and to be fair, you do sometimes hear horror stories of passports being kept, you're not getting paid and all the rest. And well, I can't say what does or doesn't happen, but I've never seen anything close to any of that. Our staff in particular are so well, we wouldn't be doing it if people weren't having a good time. People are so well treated, and you do keep your passport. You can come home within a day and your flight's provided for you. You're definitely not stuck, and you're definitely not poorly treated. So like anything, you have to take what you read with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, I was so pleased you said that, Philippa, because it's so difficult when someone comes and they've applied and you talk to them about the lifestyle out there, and you can kind of tell they've read some Daily Express article from like 2011, and it's just like, look, I appreciate that you have to take information from somewhere, but do your own research, and read credible articles, and don't just Yes, like if the story, the more wild the story is, the less likely it is to actually have any sort of truth. I think there's a lot of bad press in general, which hopefully is changing with the shift of mindset. But I think you'd be really pleasantly surprised with the reality over what some of the nonsense is written about. Certainly in fringe areas, or considered to be more fringe areas like Saudi or like Qatar.
Yeah, but I think it also shows, you know, go to like an agency that you see that have been doing this for a couple of years, and you know, look for that experience to guide you.
Yeah, and what's something that I've done before for sure. If there's anyone who is within the process and due to head out, who's been sent some stupid web link to some stupid article, who's got worried, like, we're more than happy to put people in touch with people who are already out there working. And so you can have a conversation with someone that's doing your job, that's similar age to you, who's over in Saudi at the moment, that's working, and you can ask them all the questions that you'd like. And then you're hearing it straight from them. So like, we're so transparent with what we're doing and what you can expect over there. So yeah, just don't read the Daily Mail.
And also our clients are, you know, they invest a lot of their time and effort into the recruitment process themselves, like in terms of interviewing, and then all the onboarding stuff that Eve touched upon, like, you know, referencing and whatnot. So they also are really happy to dedicate their time to ensure like peace of mind for a lot of the staff flying out there. You know, last minute worries, people get cold feet, you know, like, you know, just for like starting a new job, but also in a strange area. So there's so much support along the way. As I was saying earlier, you know, even I spent a lot of our time talking to staff who are going out, talking to staff who are still out there. You know, how many times have I written, you know, stay in touch, anything you need, let me know. You know, we're here every step of the way, as is the client, and we're here even after you've started and passed probation, and, you know, we're always on hand. And like you said, Philippa, touch wood, there's been no, so far, it's just been thank you very much, and I've stayed in touch and everything's been fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, considering the volume that we've done, the percentage of little bumps in the road would so minimal. And that's normally because you're waiting in the wrong place in the airport to get picked up, and then we get that fixed. You know what I mean? It's nothing ever anything major anyway. So yeah, nothing but sort of good things. So well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining. When we get this put out, I'll put links. So if people want to get in touch with Michael or Eve regarding some of our employment opportunities, then we'll provide contact details to do so. Everything's on our website as well, and I think you'll even find blogs on our website that covers a load of this stuff as well. And same with Corina. Thank you so much for your time, Corina.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know anyone that knows as much as you about, especially, we didn't have time to touch on it, but the who's who and what you should know and what you shouldn't know, like, you literally know it all. So we'll put your contact details too, so people can come to you, and especially if they're looking for training opportunities, looking for advice. I know you can help with so many things, from hotels and trips and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking to go out there to work, we can help people looking to go out there for any other reason to visit. Corina can definitely help you. So do get in touch if you would like any more information. I hope that you've all found this useful, and I hope that you now have a different perspective on life out there, and realise that it is an absolutely fabulous place to go, even if it's just for holidays. So thanks for listening once again. Please tune in a couple of weeks' time, and we have our next episode out. If we can help you with your job hunt, help you with your staffing, please come and visit us at Silver Swan Recruitment, and I'll see you all in a couple of weeks. Cheers, guys.